been scarred and I've been bruised. I have learned just what to do. I need to leave my past behind me. I need to look to the future. No matter what will come, no matter what I've done, I know just what to do. And that's all because of you.
Family, welcome to You OK. We are new to the platform. This is actually our first video ever. After a couple of months of strategizing, of brainstorming, of conceptualizing, we've come to a place of thinking, okay, this is ready. I'm ready to brave it. I'm ready to be awkward about it. And I'm ready to share it with all of you. The name of the channel is You OK. I know that's a bit of a weird name, but bear with us. I think it will make sense. And broadly speaking, the channel is a mental health channel. And when I say mental health, I don't typically mean discussion of diagnosis or mental health definitions per se, but it's subjective conversations of things that I think if we talk about them, they have an inevitable outcome on your mental health. And if we don't talk about them, they even have a worse outcome for your mental health. So it's conversations that we know ignored, they have potential to be problematic for our mental health. And when brought to awareness, we've got greater room for growth. Conversations around everything that impacts the capacity for us to connect better with each other, to reach our optimal selves, and to reach a greater degree of intimacy in our lives and the people that are in our lives. Consequently, I think if we have enough of those conversations, the outcome is better insight, better development, and that's our second leg of what we're trying to achieve with the platform, self-development. And lastly, stories of hope, stories of overcoming, stories of resilience. So if you look at our cover, that's what it says. It says mental health, it says personal development, and it says shared stories. So ultimately that is our brand promise, and that is what we are trying to do. So I've been racking my brain in terms of trying to figure out how do I best give a foretaste to the people at home of what the channel is about, so that your choice to subscribe or not subscribe can be informed. So I'm hoping at the end of this video you'll have a bit of a feel for it, a bit of a feel for me, and a bit of a feel for the content that we're going for. And I'm hoping at the end you will know, this is my thing, or no, not really my thing, or no, this is definitely someone else's thing that I know, and that decision can be informed. Because I wanted to shy away from the typical introduce me, because the platform is very content based, it's very topic based, and I'm the facilitator. Sometimes I have other people, and I'm just the face behind the conversations. My name is Yana Mavumengwana, and I am pleased to meet all of you. So in my brainstorming, I decided the best way to give this foretaste is to chat to a couple of people that have been brainstorming with me, planning with me, comforting me, encouraging me, and helping me reach this moment. And I asked a few of them if they can give me a couple of questions that they think by answering this question, I am going to give the viewer at home a better description of what the channel is about. The plot twist is that I haven't seen the questions, so I asked them to send the questions to one of the people that are helping me with the shooting of the channel. The questions are cut up and they're in front of me, and I'm going to be reading them for the first time now with all of you. And I wanted to capture the emotion, because we're going to talk about a lot of emotional things going forward, and I want to be transparent about my own emotions. So I hope they stuck to the brief, and the brief was that if you ask the question, by me answering it, the person at home must have a better idea of what we are about. So please cross your fingers that these questions are the questions we are hoping for. I didn't want to rehearse, I didn't want to prepare. I wanted to say unprepared and imperfect is also okay. First question, childhood grief. How do you deal with the grief that took place while you were young and it hits you in your adult life? Yo, jeez, start small, start with the basics. Start with the basics. Yeah, already you know what the channel is about. People are asking such questions, and this is an important question. I'm gonna try and not answer the content of the question, because grieving is part of the content things we are going to cover, but I am going to take it back to our name and take it back to the concept of being okay. The fundamental concept behind that name is my belief that okayness is inherent. This is a fundamental thing that everybody has. We are born okay. By virtue of being human, you are okay. There is nothing damaged, flawed, and wrong with you. All of your imperfections are part and parcel of the ingredients that make that okayness. And the channel is meant to sort of trace it back to, if this is the case, at what stage did some of us decide we are not okay? Because we've got a lot of people that think there's things that are not okay about them, and this is a big deal of it. You know, grief is catastrophic to development. Development is when you begin to interpret what's going on around you and draw a couple of conclusions about yourself, about the world, about things. You know, as soon as you are born, you are in a process of engaging with understanding what's going on. Who am I? Who's that? Am I tall or am I short? Am I light in complexion or am I not? Am I sensitive or am I not? And feedback from the environment continues to give you this. Now, death can interrupt that process. It changes a lot. And you have to reroute whatever was an ordinary milestone to kind of deal, you know, with the pieces that normally just crumble all around you when you lose someone you love. So I'm not going to answer how grief hits you, but I'm going to say being part of the channel that says you're okay is the space to start answering such questions and start mapping back where were the off-ramps that led me to conclusions that make me think I'm not okay, or life is not okay, or I'll never be okay, or nothing is okay. And grief may very well be one of them. So if you stick around long enough, we're going to talk about grief, all kinds of grief: childhood grief, grief from non-death situations, grief from loss of realities, from loss of innocence, you know, from loss of income, from loss of resources, grief from loss of people that we love. So that's definitely part of the things that we are covering, and how they impact us will form part and parcel of the things that we discuss. That's a good question. I'm hoping for a lighter one. What do you think you bring to the YouTube community that isn't there already? What kind of friends do I have? That's an important question. And I suppose one I can't answer superficially, because I've been deliberate about watching YouTube, different platforms on YouTube, to see what is there, what do people use the platform for, what's the general engagement and response, and why do I want to do it. So I've had to audit my intentions about coming to YouTube, and I've had to audit the platform itself and the nature of people that are drawn to the platform, and see, isn't there such a provision for this already? And I think what I bring first of all is my deliberate attempt to be a protagonist. I think everybody that knows me knows that I'm not obsessed with stuff that went wrong. I believe in the WhatsApp group that is in rebuilding and repair. And I think I've got a unique gift of taking concepts that are really hard to explain and make them sound really simple. So I think that's what I'm bringing. Taking this experience a person has, and I think I'm blessed with the ability to articulate and give it a name, so that a person is like, I get it. That's exactly what I've been going through. I just didn't have the words for it, the vocabulary for it, but I get it. So I think I bring that. I bring the experience of feeling heard, of people thinking, yes, that one exactly. I bring, I suppose, a shame destroyer kind of platform of all of the things that are not okay that you did and that happened to you, by saying, you as a person are actually okay. I know stuff came from outside and got inside, and now the inside is mixed up and you think it's you inside that is not okay. So I think I bring that positive approach to say, I know what's broken. I want a rebuilding approach. I know what got damaged. I'm interested in repair. I know what fell apart. How do we best rebuild? By bringing guests, by bringing my own experiences, by bringing things that I know and heard and that helped me. I'm not sure what the approach is going to be exactly, but I think I bring a unique experience to the listener, and that's instant repair. As they are listening, that they're starting to have better sense, they're starting to have relief, they're starting to have hope, they're starting to have drive, they're starting to make new decisions, and they're evaluating the decisions they made before. You know, when I'm ugly, instantly changes to something else. When I'm stupid, instantly changes to something else. I think that's what I bring to the YouTube platform. Of course, now I'm talking on assumed intention. when there's people on the platform and we have a feel for those people, obviously there's going to be a collaborative process of co-creating the platform together in terms of what they need. But while I'm just going in blindly, that's what I intend to do. But when there's enough people here, then what they need will also decide the nature of our platform. So I think I bring openness as well, openness for people to co-create the platform. I can't decide what healing looks like for them until they're here to kind of tell me what healing looks like for them. Ooh. Who is your target audience? I think I know who asked this, but okay. My target audience is, I think the fundamental requirement to relate to my channel is to be human. I know that sounds a bit cliche to say humans are your target audience. It's like, oh, you're gonna have to be a little bit more specific. But that is, when I conceptualize the content, that's who I have in mind. I have in mind somebody that is impacted by human conditions, by human existence and the complexities that come with human existence. The people that are likely to be on YouTube are a certain age group, maybe even a certain socio-economic group, because you have to use data, Wi-Fi, things you pay for to be on the platform. So the people I'm likely to catch are people that have access to digital spaces, have the gadgets for it, and have their Wi-Fi to access it. So I think ultimately that's who I'll be talking to. But when I'm conceptualizing the content and centering myself to a place of being able to give it, I have humans in mind. Maybe not the humans watching, the humans in those people's lives, the humans that have caused damage to those people's lives. So I may not be talking to your kids, but your current distress may be coming from your parenting. And I have that in mind when I talk to you. I may not be talking to elderly people that are in their 90s, but I'm talking to their children that parented you, and the injuries in your life are stemming from those people. So those are the people I have in mind when I am targeting, because ultimately if I heal whoever is listening to my platform, I'm expecting a spin-off and a snowball effect, into other spaces in their lives, their families, their occupational spaces, their friendships. So those people, although they're not subscribing to my channel, I hope by virtue of the growth that's going to happen to my actual subscribers, their relationships and their spaces can grow too. So I don't want to say everyone is my target audience, but ultimately this is just a small attempt into contributing to society, and society is full of humans, and that's who I've got in mind. What is human condition? What is human suffering? And what do you think is the hardest thing about becoming a YouTuber? I don't know about other people. I think there's a lot of channels. I watch a lot of people. I've been following a couple of people. Recently watching a lot of Bumile Dwaba. A friend of mine, Asasitisi Joseng, recently joined. I watch Yols, I watch Yaya, I watch Zuzi, I watch Sino. I'm actually new to the platform as a recipient of content. So I'm not very familiar with everyone, but there's a couple of people I've come across that I like. And I don't know what's been their experience, but I've been learning, by watching them. The hardships I have personally experienced was auditing my intentions. That was the hardest thing. Being sure with what I'm consenting to. YouTube is a responsibility to me. I don't know what it is to other people. Some people it's an invitation into their lifestyle. Some people it's a hobby. Some people it's a side hustle, and their hardships would be unique to that. My hardships have been with everything else that you are doing. Why do you want to do YouTube as well? And those people that are on YouTube, can't you reach them in any other way? Why are you going for YouTube specifically? YouTube is global. You relinquish control as soon as it's up on the platform. And those people that receive it can do with the content whatever they like. And that was the hardest thing for me to say. Are you saying yes to that? Because as soon as that happens, a couple of things are off your hands. So it was consenting, giving myself the permission to live this experience because I want it. Giving myself permission to express myself in this way because I want to, and that came with a lot of questions from my internal critic to audit. Are you sure? Are you aware of the implications? Are you okay with those implications? Is this necessary? If it's not necessary, then why are you doing it? Are your intentions pure? Are you in a good place about it? How are you going to feel 3 years later when you are wiser and you want to go back to the thing you said in 2020? And that internal restructuring of making way for YouTube was my hardship. And it took a lot of months. It took a lot of discussions with my therapist. It took a lot of encouragement from my friends who entertained the contemplation and the hesitation and the complexity and weighed in. And through that collaborative wisdom, I reached that place. But it was a hard stumbling block for me. Time as well was a hard thing to audit. Do you have it? Where are you going to take it from? Because there's 24 hours in the day and they're already accounted for already. From where are you going to minus this time? And is it worth it? Do you want to do that? Do you want to take time from work, from school, from parenting to give to YouTube? You know, is YouTube that worth it for you? So yeah, that was the hardship. Internal dialogue was the hardest thing for me to get through. And contentment comes from it as well. That's why I'm content, because I am now at a place where I'm certain about my intentions, about my hope, about my desire, and I can give it to the world, and the world can decide what it means for them. But I've surpassed that hardship, but that was the hardship for me. Oh, this looks like a paragraph. You recently hosted a symposium. It was called Courageous Conversations. What inspired you to host the symposium, and can we expect similar topics to be covered on this channel? I suppose this comes from the people that know. I hosted a conversation platform recently in Port Elizabeth called Courageous Conversations that covered some key conversations that I think are somewhat universal. We covered, the first topic was what's childhood got to do with it. That will actually be our first content video that will come up. The second topic was implications of loss and grief. The third one was addiction and its sequelae. What happens, what would you be thinking if you were sober? We also did mechanisms of a depressive episode, and we did You Had No Voice, which was the, I suppose, comfort to undisclosed sexual abuse. So we combined those topics and we made them a seminar for the day, invited a couple of local psychologists, and everybody that delivered the content was a qualified clinician. And yes, that's what YouTube is all about. It's an extension of such conversations. We piloted them there. How would they look like? How would they sound like? Who would be listening to them? And YouTube is an extension of that and more. So that's my kind of content. Those kind of topics are my kind of content. And that is venue driven. If the venue fits 50 people, that's who you can talk to. Then other people want to invite you as well to say the same thing. Then it's a bit of a problem, because you know the town isn't that big. And YouTube was, hey, how do you best do cross-sectional work to achieve mass impact, so that whoever wants that information can go find it, be it now, years later, instead of being repetitive and maybe running saturation with the market you are talking to. So yeah, it was a pilot for YouTube. It was a fundraising event as well for a project that we're running. And yes, YouTube will be a similar platform, a similar home, and a similar space. What do you hope to achieve with your channel? This is easy because it goes back to the name. A sense of okayness. Coherent life stories is what I'm hoping to achieve. To string together the past, make sense of what it has to do with the present, and maybe make a new decision that gives you odds at a better future. This coherence between, string them together. We've all got a past, and we are somewhat winging the now, and we're just hoping, the future will be better. But there isn't really coherent structure in terms of, okay, hang on, this was the beginning. This is what it looked like. This is the data it entailed. I'm an adult now. Let me verify some of it. Let me test out some of those things that the past is saying. Let me actually revisit that decision. It wasn't accurate. Let me decide afresh. Knowing that and knowing what it did to me, I think I want to go to a different place, and then saying, okay, I want a different future. And because of that past and because of this present, this is the direction I'm taking. So coherent narratives is the hope I'm bringing with my channel. one topic at a time, one discussion at a time. But for people to take it in, rearrange some pieces, create new systems of internal functioning, you know, put that piece there, move that one down, increase some in priority, and assemble deliberately, you know, your reasoning and stuff that goes in your head, unlearn some, delete some, add new ones. Ultimately, it's to reach a place of okayness, to be okay in the uncertainty, to be okay with our transformation, to be okay with our past, to be okay with the future that's coming. That's what I'm hoping to achieve. Coherent life stories, and if your story is coherent, you generally feel okay, even if it's not perfect. If it makes sense and it's got a straight line, you feel like I get it and I'm okay with it. That's what I'm hoping to achieve. Who do you think will benefit from subscribing? Please tell a friend to 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 tell a friend. Listen, guys, you know what? You know, psychological insight and introspection is an intentional thing. I can't force it on anyone, and I'm a respecter of autonomy. You know, everybody that knows me knows freedom is a big deal to me. To give people room to decide if they're ready for such content, because maybe it's great content, but they're not at a space in their lives where they want to think about that specifically. Maybe not right now. Maybe not from you. Maybe not from YouTube. So people will benefit from subscribing if there's a match between what they're looking for and what I'm able to provide. Then those people, I think, can subscribe. Then we can just be intentional about being in each other's space. You know, I also don't want to coerce people to subscribing, and this is not their kind of thing, because then they start creating an unwelcoming atmosphere in the comment section and whatever for the people that want to be here. And remember, on YouTube, I'm only available by basically commenting on it. There is no other way to reach me, you know. And I'm not on Instagram. I am on Facebook. My name was on the bottom of the screen when I started speaking in the beginning, and I'm only on Facebook. And people that want to reach me professionally reach me via email. So the comment section is meant to be an attempt for people to directly talk to me. And once you have rude people, people that are inconsiderate, people that don't believe in what we are doing, and they also commenting, they can make the space unwelcoming for someone else to say, I'm so glad you spoke about that, because I actually lost my dad, because there's that one day in the corner that's criticizing. You know, I obviously welcome feedback to make the platform better, to deliver to you better, but I really want people to subscribe if they want to subscribe. Honestly, I'm not gunning for numbers. I'm gunning for intentionality to be around each other. I want to talk to people that I know you're serving them well. They want you to talk to them. And I want to log in and hear what they have to say. People will benefit from subscribing. I don't want to say if you've suffered from loss. I don't want to manipulate anyone to subscribing. And I don't want to leverage on stuff that has happened to you to invite you. So I'm trying to shy away from saying people that are suffering, you know, and people that are going through a difficulty. Hence, I wanted to introduce the channel this way, so that at the end you've got a bit of a foretaste and you can make your decision. And if you want to subscribe, I can't wait to travel with you. If for whatever reason things around mental health are not your thing, them being delivered this way are not your preference, I wouldn't be upset if such people don't subscribe. You know, it's not something I would take personally. I believe in autonomy, for people to exercise their choice, their preferences, and that's okay. And saying you're okay means even when you don't choose things that I believe in, there's nothing wrong with you. You know, some people just want music, guys. They're not on YouTube to talk about mental health, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then some people just like, oh, this girl talks too fast, or she talks whatever, you know. Maybe people don't even believe in the discipline as a whole. They're just like, what? These things, man, are just wishy-washy and up in the air. That's an okay belief. You know, humans can actually reason. I believe in people's intellect and people's capacity to think. So I think subscribing should be, think about it. If this is enough for you, subscribe. If you want to give more videos, still do that. If you know definitely this is hitting home for you, do that. So I think people who will benefit the most are people that are keen on this kind of talk, have space for it in their heads, are keen to give it a try. As for me welcoming, I welcome everyone, but in terms of trying to motivate people to subscribe, if it resonates, if it hits resonance inside of you, then I think give it a chance. You can change your mind later if it's not your thing. I'm also okay with that. But yeah, I don't have typical subscribers in mind, but I'm hoping people will. I'm doing this because I believe there's a need, and I hope people will verify that need so I can be able to do it and deliver it. But I want to leave enough room for freedom of choice. The questions are, they're getting less, so I'm getting less nervous. Why is it hard to deal with a traumatic situation that has happened to me? And I think this links to the very first question that we had, which was a grief question. Trauma is also one of those detours that can shatter the pieces of your puzzle so much that in you trying to assemble it back together, some of them are permanently missing and you just don't know how to integrate them. That's why it's difficult to piece the pieces back together, because some of them got destroyed, some of them are missing, you know, and we'll explain this when we're talking about trauma. Why are some memories fragmented? Why do I not recall some things? Why am I struggling to integrate it back to being okay? And that's linking back to my original question of saying, in an attempt to map your way back to okay, we're going to unpack these instances and incidences that brought the not okay feelings and the not okay experiences, and start talking about how they impacted you and how you got to decide the things you decided about yourself, and maybe open enough room for you to edit them and say, oh, in the absence of missing logic and someone saying it's not my fault, I decided I'm to blame. I decided I'm inviting of certain things. And then when we talk about trauma, you'll realize I was 6. How could I have had the vocabulary to define that? I did not disclose my trauma out of secrecy. I honestly didn't know what I would say or who I would say it to, or I was terrified. You know, when you're little, you think, what if my parents die? What if they don't believe me? What if this person kills me? You know, I'm trying to use the example of sexual trauma in my head. There's just a lot when dealing with trauma that you have to detail and talk about and paint context, and I don't want to wing it, but I do want to answer that the person that asked that question, that if you believe you're okay and you're watching other people and you think they're okay, and stuff that happens to you is unique and it looks like it isn't happening to other people, that can be very hard to bring into your functioning and make sense of it. And you can be very isolated in trying to make sense of it, because it's not a universal experience. That's why it's traumatic. It's not happening to everyone else, and it's somewhat abnormal. And that can be very, very hard to integrate. And trauma is absolutely one of the things we're going to be covering, like without a doubt. And the person that asked that question, the content is, we've got our content lined up for a couple of weeks, and trauma is definitely one of them. When do you know you are truly okay? That's a good question. That's a good question, especially because I think if you look at life and the nature of functioning, it's unpredictable, it's uncertain. New things happen every day and they're not all okay. Now, as we are shooting, we're in lockdown. That's also something that is not okay. So a person may think, oh, I've done all of this introspection, all of this internal work, and I think I'm fine now. How do I know for sure that I'm fine? Because at some point I thought I was fine, and then I went to therapy and I realized I'm not fine yet. You know, it can be a hard place to believe your peace and your internal functioning. And I think everybody's got their own definition. I can't tell you what your reality has been, but I think everybody knows that they don't want to be here in this place. And when you're at a place where you are okay being here, whether the space in itself is not okay, I think I would give that a thumbs up to say, I'm in a place of not knowing. And for the first time, that's fine with me. you know. For me personally, coherence is my okay. Does it make sense? Can I draw meaning from it? Do I understand what is going on? So I can be in lockdown and, let's say, experiencing financial loss, disintegration from family, loss of realities I used to know, a whole lot. That is not a good story. There's something about the story that is coherent. I know it's not my fault. I can make sense of what happened. I know I didn't do anything unclever to be in this position. It's a pandemic, it was unplanned. I know it's also in part, I know this isn't forever. All of those things are what make the story coherent for me. It's a thing that makes sense. I can string logic with my experience, and in this not okay environment, I'm actually doing okay. I'm doing okay. I wash, I'm clean, I eat well, and sometimes that's the best I can achieve on the day. And that for me is okay. So I think okay is subjective. You can't let another person come paint to you what okay looks like. But getting to a place of believing you're okay. You may need assistance from therapy, from a lot of internal work, but your reality is your reality and only you know your reality. And a good place may be to start identifying, are you okay with the way things are? What's not okay? You know, sometimes it's so hard to know what's okay, but a lot of people can immediately answer when you're like, what's not okay? They're like, yeah, I'm broke. That's what's not okay. Even if they don't know what's okay, they're like, I don't know what's okay. I know what's definitely not okay. So sometimes that's a good place to start. Identifying the things that are unwelcome, the things that are unpleasant, the things that I don't want. And maybe their elimination can be your definition of okay. For someone else, just meaning is enough, man. They don't need anything to change. They just need to understand what is going on here, and that will be okay. For some people, hope will be their okay place. That they know things are bad, but I've got hope in tomorrow, and that's okay. So okay is subjective, and by that I mean okay can only be experienced by the person that thinks they're not okay. I can't say on my YouTube channel, being okay is when you can make autonomous life decisions. Okay, you know that. But I cannot come tell you, that's imposition. I cannot impose what okay means. For me personally, it means coherence. I feel okay when stuff is coherent. I feel very distressed when things are not making sense and they're all over the place. Situations in themselves don't have to be okay, but if I can call them a name and I can identify them, I'm generally okay about things. I'm generally in an okay place. What inspired you to start your channel? Hectic. Ooh. You'd think this is easy, but it's not. I suppose my difficulty comes from the fact that it's not singular. You know, it wasn't an incident. It was a journey, really, of coming to terms. My moments of bravery inspired me. You know, the little things that I was initially scared of, then I did them, and I tested out how they feel, and that the worst case scenario didn't happen would make me a bit braver to try something else. Then I tried that, then it goes well. Then I started sufficiently building a bank of brave moments that went well, and they gave me courage to make yet another one. I was also inspired by the people that I generally talk to when I do public speaking, and the gratitude that they feel, and the feedback that they give, and the request to say, please do this again, please do this, and on a platform where I can keep going back to it. Don't you want to start YouTube? Inspired by my anchors. You know, there are people that literally are so instrumental in my functioning that I can run things with them. And once things hit the air, they get an opportunity to be verified, to be examined. So I've got instrumental people that help me with that examine my fears and how realistic they are, and my insecurities, and shining light into them, that know me so well that they go back to my core strengths and they remind me when I start to forget and I want to cop out. So yeah, I've got amazing friends. I'm from a really supportive, big family and community. I have been in psychotherapy for 5 years. So I've got a therapist that has been walking my own journey of going to an okay place. So okay that you can face the world. even if it's unpredictable and scary, because your frontline people are nearby, that if it goes badly, we're here for you to pick you up, that if it gets confusing, we'll help you unpack it. If you get distressed, I'll comfort you. So yeah, I'm inspired by bravery and courage, because if you're going to ask people to have frank, unfrightened conversations about painful things, that's a brave thing you're asking them to do. And it inspired me that if you go in public talks saying people must be brave, it's kind of hypocritical if you are not being brave. And to me, YouTube has always been a thing of bravery. It was saying yes to something that I think to some degree is my calling. Not YouTube specifically, but this that I'm doing here. And it took a while to be ready to share that with other people.